Let's all take this opportunity to tuck in our ties. Our next guest has performed at clubs all over Canada and the United States, including the Improv in Los Angeles and also Catch a Rising Star and Stand Up New York here in Manhattan. And now, making his network television debut, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Norm Macdonald. Norm, are you...
Well, thanks. Good to be here. I've been traveling around a lot, watching a lot of the TV, you know, and you've seen these new sports on the TV where they'll try to combine two sports together and make up a new sport. You know, like a guy will run a 100-yard dash and then fish. So I love the TV. You know, I saw a cat food commercial, and I said at the end of it, it said, all natural food for your cat. All natural food. But cat food's made out of horse meat. Yeah, that's the way it works in nature. The cat right above the horse in the food chain. Matter of fact, every time my kitty gets a little cooped up in the apartment, I need to take him down to a racetrack, let him stalk some prey down there. So cute when he comes trotting back with a stallion hanging out of his mouth there, you know. But I love the TV, you know, anything at all. The only thing I don't like, you ever see it when there's a celebrity that you really respect and admire, and then he shows up on some cheap TV show, you know? Last week I was watching the Hollywood Squares, and a secret square, J.D. Salinger. But I like game shows. That's my favorite thing, you know, big prizes and everything. You ever see The Dating Game? You ever see that show? That's a weird show there. The prize on that show, another contestant. Talk about cheap. And they always do the same thing on that show. They get a beautiful girl, match her up with 3 giant dorks. Last week they had a guy on, it was a crazy guy, loony bin, psycho, wingnut. You can tell by the way they introduce him. They go, bachelor number 2 is a shadowy lurking character whose hobbies include skulking. Please welcome from no fixed address. He's just a guy. Menacing figure shambles into the studio there, you know, and then they make the girl ask those questions, you know, laced with sexual innuendo. You know, girl go, bachelor number 2, if I were a popsicle, what would you do to me then if I were a popsicle? That's what it says in the card here. And the guy goes, well, if you're a popsicle, huh? Well, first of all, I guess I'd take your wrapper off. If you know what I mean. And then I'd grab a hold of your sticks. If you know what I mean. And then I'd press you against the counter till you're broken too. Put happy in the freezer till later. You know what I mean, Adam? You understand what I'm getting at? It's crazy. But a lot of violence on TV. You know, kids aren't supposed to watch violence now on the TV. They're afraid maybe the kids will copy what they see on the screen, you know. I can't even get a funny cartoon anymore because some 12-year-old watched a particularly violent episode of the Roadrunner Coyote Show. And the next day they found him in the bottom of a canyon with 2 giant springs strapped to his feet. A big couple of springs. Had a little umbrella in his hand. Sign said, yikes. But there's violence everywhere. You know, I was reading in a paper, this guy, if you can believe this, a guy killed his family because the devil told him to. Can you believe that? Imagine that, killing your family, and then you go back to the devil, you go, yes, devil, I did as you instructed. I killed my family, and I chopped them up and put them in a duffel bag. Here they are. I'll be burying them tonight at the shallow grave by the side of the railroad track, as you have commanded, O Lord host of the hoary netherworld. Then the devil pulls off a mask. It's me, Bob! Oh, Bob! Yes, you got me, Bob. You got me there. I got my family in a duffel bag over here. That's one for you there, Bob. This dirty dog. So I had this dream day. You ever have a dream, and then you wake up right in the middle of a great dream, and then you're back in your stinking life again? So then you try to fall asleep, re-dream it? Man, that never works. Always end up with some weird mutation of your original dream there, you know? Like in the first dream, I was in a pool with Christy Brinkley, and we were swimming toward each other, and then I woke up. So I fell asleep again, I end up shooting pool with David Brinkley. You guys have been great. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is something exciting. Our next guest made his stand-up debut. I did not remember that. This man began his television stand-up debut with us 25 years ago.
Didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Very talented actor. Nobody funnier. Ladies and gentlemen, Norm Macdonald.
Thanks, guys. Listen, I don't want to brag or anything, but me and Oprah are making the same money tonight. But the show has loosened up considerably. I noticed I was watching Oprah and Dave talking about weed and booze. And I don't do either of those. The hardest drug I ever did, LSD. And I remember I was a kid, I was like 16, and I remember they warned me, they said, hey, you got to be careful with that LSD on account of you can get a flashback. 10 years can go by, 20 years, 30 years, and a flashback will happen. So I thought, hey, that seems like a good deal. You know, you tell me I buy a drug for $5, I eat it, I get high, and then 20 years later I get high again? That's not the point. I like to stretch my drug dollar. The point is this. 10 years have passed, 20 years have passed, 30 years have passed, and no flashbacks. What a gyp that turned out to be. Just more horse by the big acid companies, that's all it is. But I can't believe it's been a quarter century since I made my television debut. It was all different back then. You know, it was back then, I remember if you wanted to take a picture, you would use a camera, not a telephone. As a matter of fact, if you used a telephone, people would look at you odd. You know that? Just stay still like that. What about in the old days when they took pictures of you way back, you know, where they pulled that thing and exploded and stuff? I got a picture of my great-grandfather. The thing took 6 hours to take your picture, and it was a picture of my great-grandfather, one. They only had, every guy had one picture back then. And it's just him like... I gotta get back, feed them hogs. Who's gonna feed the hogs? Somebody gotta feed them hogs. Now, in the future, of course, it'll be different. 50 years from now, people will be going like, hey, you want to see 100,000 pictures of my great-grandfather? I got him right here, plus everything he did every day of his life. Hey, this occurred to me today. ID, which I had to show it again. There's a strange abbreviation when you think about it. I is short for I. And then D is short for dentification. They could have split that one up a little better, you know? But I watch the TV, I watch the news, make you afraid, the news, you know? Put all these stories on, Iraq, Iran, North Korea, you know, try to scare you, you know? But does it ever really scare you? Like, you ever wake up in the middle of the night, North Korea! That little tiny country across the ocean. I wonder if they'll get me. Plus, didn't MASH settle that like 20 years ago? Why'd I have to watch that stupid show? There is one country that worries me, though. Not Iraq, not Iran, not North Korea. The only country that really worries me is the country of Germany. I don't know if you guys are history buffs or not, but... in the early part of the previous century, Germany decided to go to war. And who did they go to war with? The world. That had never been tried before. And so you figure that would take about 5 seconds for the world to win, but no, it was actually close. Then about 30 years pass, and Germany decides again to go to war, and again it chooses as its enemy the world. And this time they have that guy, Schrankly, Crankly, that guy, and I'm not even going to dignify him by saying his name, but I think you know what I'm talking about. But you'd think at that point the world will go, listen, Germany, here's the deal. You don't get to be a country no more on account of you keep attacking the world. I mean, what do you think, you're Mars or something? Anyways, listen, folks, this will be my last time on the David Letterman show, I understand. And you guys, we all know that David Letterman was the greatest talk show host who ever lived. But I remember Dave differently because the first time I saw him, I was 13 years old. I was living in... I was living in Toronto, Canada, and I went to a talk show they had there. And David Letterman was the stand-up comedian on the show. And I loved stand-up. And David Letterman did this joke that I told everybody this joke. I love this joke. It still stays with me as my favorite stand-up joke ever. So I'd like to do it for you if you'd like to hear it. Because I was on the street the other day and I saw a garbage truck, and on the back of the garbage truck there was a small sign that said, "Please do not follow too closely. Another of life's simple pleasures ruined by a meddling bureaucracy," ladies and gentlemen. You remember the old days when Dad would pile the kids in the station wagon and we'd all go out and follow a garbage truck? So anyways, I'd just like to say, I know that Mr. Letterman is not for the mawkish, and he has no truck for the sentimental, but if something is true, it is not sentimental, and I say in truth, I love you. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Norm! Oh, my God.
Very funny, Norm, and thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Norm Macdonald, ladies and gentlemen. That was very sweet, Norm. Good night, everybody.
Now, stay tuned for James Corden. This is Alan Calder speaking. Good night, everybody.